Okay, so we just have one or two more things to figure out before we can do a couple of problems. So the first of them is, suppose you've got x squared all to the power of 3. So that's x squared by x squared by x squared. So how many x's are we multiplying? We've got 2 x's here by another 2 by another 2, so we've got x to the power of 6. What we've actually got is we've got x squared 3 times. So x squared 3 times is x to the power of 2 by 3, which is x to the power of 6. So the rule is, if you've got x to the power of m all to the power of n, you multiply your powers. Okay, so we'll say y to the power of 7 all to the power of 5 is y to the power of 7 times 5. That's y to the 35. So that's 35 y's all multiplied together. Okay. This kind of idea can help us figure out what x to the power of a half is. Alright, so we want to know what happens if we have a fraction power. So we've had a plus whole number, we've had 0, and we've had a minus whole number as a power. So what happens when you take a fraction? So we don't know what x to the half is, but if we square that, if we take x to the half and we square it, we get x to the half by 2. So you multiply these two powers. So you multiply them, and a half by 2, or a half of 2, is just 1. So that's x. So something squared is equal to x. And a little bit of thinking will hopefully show, well, what do we square to get x as an answer? We square the square root of x to get x as an answer. So x to the power of a half is the square root of x. And in the same way, x to the power of a third is the cube root of x. And in general, the one written in the log tables is x to the power of 1 over n, the nth root of x. So x to the power of a quarter is the fourth root, x to the power of a fifth is the fifth root, x to the power of a sixth is the sixth root, and so on and so forth. Okay, so there's square roots. So we'll just take a line under that. What we're going to do now is have a look at what happens when we put square roots and bigger powers together. So if we took something like, let's say, 8 to the power of 2/3. So we have a fraction here. It's not just 1 over 3, it's actually 8 to the power of 2/3. So the way we can split this up in one of two ways. We can write it as 8 to the power of a third, all squared, because 2 by a third will give me 2/3. Or we can write it as 8 squared, all to the power of a third. Because again, 2 by a third give me 2/3. Doesn't matter which way around I do it. This way will generally keep the numbers smaller if you put the fraction power in first. So 8 to the power of a third is the cube root of 8 to be squared. We'll work out this one in a second. So the cube root of 8 to be squared. Cube root of 8 means what number would I multiply, what number would I cube to get 8 as an answer? And the answer is 2. Because 2 by 2 by 2 is equal to 8. 2 to the power of 3 is 8. So the cube root of 8 is 2. So 2 squared is what I'm looking for. So that's the number 4. The other way I could work it, I could say 8 squared is 64. And then the question is, well, what's the cube root of 64? So the cube root of 64 means what number would I cube to get 64? So 2 by 2 by 2 is 8. 2 cubed is equal to 8. So that's no good. 3 cubed is 3 by 3 by 3, that's 27. So that's no good either. And 4 cubed is 4 by 4 by 4, that's equal to 64. So 4 is the cube root of 64. So either way I do it, I can do it with the fraction inside and then the square, or I can do it with the square inside and then the fraction on the outside. Either way I'll end up with the same answer. And that's one way of doing the question. The other way that you can do the question is you can simply use the formula in the log tables. The formula in the log tables is written as 8 to the power of m over n equals the nth root of a all to the power of m, or a to the m and take the nth root of that. So you can just fill in the formula. Okay, so when you're looking at a to the power of 2/3, then a is equal to 8, m is equal to 2, n is equal to 3. So you just fill the formula in. So if we take this first way here, n, so that the nth root is the third root of a, which is 8, and we take it all to the power of m, and m there is 2. So the third root, or the cube root of 8, is 2, all to be squared, and you end up with 4. And you get the exact same thing if you do it this way. Oops. So you get the exact same thing if you do it this way. You'll just end up, as we did up here, working with bigger numbers. So you get the 64, and then you have to get the cube root of that. Generally, if you get the root first, and then take it to the power, like here we get the cube root and then squared, you keep your numbers that bit smaller.